Mary, one of the questions we always get, and it's early usually in a conversation, is how much is this going to cost, right? What am I going to have to pay? And that's a very difficult question. And most lawyers in this industry, military law, they don't like to talk about attorney's fees until very late in the conversation. And I think it's important for us to address that straight up front. And let me just start with a little analogy, right? If you're going to go out and buy a car, right, and you're going to get a car because you need transportation, there are a couple ways you can do it. You can either go buy a brand new car, it's going to spend $30,000 to $60,000, or you can buy a hoopty, right, a beater, that's going to cost you $1,500, $2,000 to $10,000, or you can lease a car. That's going to cost you, $300 to $700 a month, right? But you have to have a car, right? End of the day, you got to get from A to B. Same thing is true with attorney's fees, right? You're facing serious allegations. You could lose your job, your income, you could go to jail, you could face negative discharge, you could face these consequences that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Heck, you could lose your retirement that's valued over $1 million. So when somebody is facing whatever the allegations are, and they're like, what are the attorney's fees? What do you tell somebody?
Well, it's like anything in life, you do a cost-benefit analysis, right? And to a certain extent, you do get what you pay for. Now, I don't address exact numbers right away. We do talk to potential clients about ranges, but the main thing is to also assure them that we're going to find a way to get them to the point where they can afford legal services. And there's a variety of ways to go about that.
Right. So in our practice, right, our number one goal is to help the client.
Correct.
Right. Now, we want to be paid for our legal services, and, we've worked hard. I've got over 30 years of experience, as do you, in being a lawyer. So we should be compensated for what we do. But our number one objective is helping the client. And I'll tell you, hourly, if you hire us on the hourly basis, you're going to pay between $250 and $500 an hour for our services. If you hire us for a flat fee, and that's an estimate, a projection of what our fee would be, it's going to be, $3,000, $3,500, all the way up to $7,500 for a standard action, a standard adverse action, or if it's a court martial, tens of thousands of dollars. That's just what the prices are.
Right, and we base those prices on years of experience. We know how much time is required for each type of action. And clearly, courts martial are the most expensive thing because they are extremely time intensive. And there are other things that come into play as well. But, again, we can get the client to the point where they can afford that. And, again, we've got different ways of going about that. We do have the flat fee system primarily at this law office, but we can offer payment options, for example.
So there are several ways that somebody who may not have $10,000 to give to an attorney today can pay for that. One of them is they can put it on a credit card. They can put it on a debit card. They can put it on different bank accounts if they have it. They can borrow money from family, from friends, from colleagues who know who they are and who trust them. It can be financed through our law firm, right? We can set up a payment plan, right? Now, our payment plan isn't you pay us $50 every month. As I tell a client, look, your legal fees shouldn't cripple you. It shouldn't turn off your lights. It shouldn't get you evicted. However, at the same time, you should know you're paying for a lawyer every month, right? So it's a substantial payment. Protect your future. And that's what you're doing. You could also, maybe go to a bank or go to a credit union, or even private banks. They're out there to do it. What are some other sources that you're aware of where somebody could get financing for legal fees?
Well, you could literally do a GoFundMe, fundraising. That is something that's, definitely on the rise these days. You can go to friends and family. You can also go to, there's veterans organizations that'll support. There's there are legal funds for these types of situations.
And military relief organizations, to get that. There's even a growing market for private legal fee companies. And some of those companies are like Care Credit or Affirm or Juris Capital, but there are these companies that are designed to pay lawyers' fees, and that's all they loan money on. They know that you're paying a lawyer's fee, and they loan you the money so that you can pay your fees up front. You can also set up a discretionary allotment, right? If you don't necessarily have the discipline to pay that monthly fee, set up a discretionary allotment and you never see it.
I mean, I'll be honest, we were talking the other day about that, and that had never even occurred to me, the discretionary allotment. Of course, it's such a, why not? You go down to finance and then of course you see it on your paycheck, but you don't have to deal with it. It's allotted, and that you're covered and that your attorney is covered.
The bottom line is, when you're risking loss of retirement or loss of a job or confinement, you should spend the money to have a high-quality lawyer to minimize the risk that you're facing. Here at the Law Office of Will M. Helixon, we're going to work with you, right? We will make our attorney's fees something that you can afford. And if you can't afford them, we will direct you to the appropriate pro bono legal services or legal aid societies, TDS, area defense counsel. We will try to get you the best legal help possible. Now, obviously, we believe that we provide superior legal services based on our over a century of experience doing this. But sometimes you just don't have that money.
Right.
And if you don't have that money, we'll help you find what resources you can.
Well, and then one thing we shouldn't forget is that service members have been traditionally some of the best people to invest in. I mean, you just look at some of the financial organizations out there, the things that are offered to soldiers, just keeping that in mind, there are definitely options out there.
At the Law Office of Will M. Helixon, we're here to help you. We will do everything we can to prevent legal fees from stopping you from hiring us. That means we'll do payment plans, we'll look at how our fee structures are, and we'll do what we can. If you need legal services, don't let fees discourage you. Talk to us today. You defend the nation, we defend you.